Hi, so today we're going to go over world religions, and specifically, we're going to look at religions as tools or means of an empire maintaining control. So, really, we're asking what's the relationship between religion and empire? And so, today we're going to look at three Asian religions or philosophies: Confucianism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. So, how can religions be used as a way to maintain an empire? The first religion that we're going to take a look at is Confucianism. So, Confucianism begins in the early Zhou Empire in China. And so, this is really beginning around 200 BCE. And so, really, this begins as a philosophy, as a way to maintain order in Chinese society. Confucianism was founded by Confucius or Confuzi, who was a middle class bureaucrat or government official who taught ways to maintain a just and organized society. And so, with Confucius's teaching, um, the Chinese really began to have an appreciation for education and particularly learning the ways of Confucius. The Analects. So the Analects, this is, I guess, what you could compare to maybe a holy book, but the Analects, these are the sayings of Confucius. And so these are the teachings and the collection of writings of Confucius that are written down. And so these sayings are what guide this Confucius or Confucianism philosophy, and also they kind of serve as a guide for how people should interact in society. So, Confucianism says that the best way to maintain the mandate of heaven, so the mandate of heaven is basically this, in a sense, God given right for a dynasty or a family to stay and rule. And so Confucianism says that the best way to maintain the mandate of heaven was to follow five key relationships: parent-child, ruler and subject, husband and wife, older and younger brother, friend and friend. Confucian principles are largely based on this idea of filial piety. So this is in your notes, and filial piety literally means respect for your elders. And so a key principle and a really kind of the core of Confucianism is going to be this guidance on respecting these five basic relationships. And so again, filial piety is respect for your elders. And so this kind of helps society to keep in order because it's so ingrained within the culture to respect your elders and to do as your elders say. So again, filial piety and the five key relationships. So you can see the five key relationships. And so there's always a superior and an inferior in each relationship, except for friend and friend. But basically, you should still treat each other with respect. And so even though there is a superior and an inferior, the superior still has obligations to honor, and they should act justly and rightly according to their relationship to the person who is under them. And so, if you just want to pause and think about this, so how can Confucianism be used as a way to maintain order in society? So, how would this kind of ethical system of respecting these types of relationships with a superior and an inferior, how could they maintain society? A second philosophy that I really want to highlight, and it kind of works against this Confucianism, is this legalism. So one of the first emperors, Shui Hongdi, and so he's known as this emperor who unites all of China. He kind of doesn't like Confucianism, and he goes against a lot of the teachings of Confucianism. And instead, he's going to use this philosophy called legalism. And so to him, he says the best way to maintain order in society is through a highly efficient and very powerful government. he says the best way to maintain order is through strict punishments and strict adherence to the law. Basically, he says thinkers and their ideas should be strictly controlled by the government, and if they are, everyone will listen, and everything's going to fall in line and work out. The second religion that we are going to take a look at today is Hinduism. And so Hinduism has its roots in India and its cultural development throughout this northern area of India. The Vedas, so these are going to be epic poems that are going to include the doctrines of Hinduism, and they are sung by ancient priests, and they are written down in scripts like these. And so Hinduism is going to evolve by blending the beliefs of these Aryans who came down and invaded this area of the Indian subcontinent, and it's going to mix with the beliefs of the Dravidians. And so key to Hinduism is going to be this caste system. And so I'm not going to play this video now, but it is in your blend page. And so the caste system is basically a way to organize society. And so what the caste system says is it says that everyone is born into a specific caste, and they're born into a specific level based on their actions in a previous life. And so Hindus, they believe in this idea of karma. And so that's basically good or bad deeds. And they also believe in this other idea called dharma, and that means fulfilling one's life duties. And so basically, they're going to say that if you follow good karma, and so you do good deeds, and you fulfill your duties no matter what level you are on, in your next life, you might be lucky enough to be born into a higher caste. And so they believe that you are reborn and reborn and reborn until you reach moksha, which is this reunification with this one eternal being, or part of this one supreme soul called Atman. And so what's key here is that you see this gap, this line right here, and underneath it is the untouchables. Well, the untouchables, the outcasts of the caste, street sweepers, latrine cleaners, they are outside of the caste system. So that means if you were born an untouchable, you, no matter what you do, will never reach this level of Brahmin. And so in the caste system, this could be a way to organize society. And if you look at it critically, as a way to make people complacent in their social role in society, saying that if they do a good job where they are, later in life, they will be rewarded. And so again, this idea of dharma. And so dharma, like I said, is fulfilling one's duties. And so you can see here that the different jobs or professions, if you do a good job in your specific duty, wherever you were born, you will be rewarded later in life. And again, karma again is doing good deeds or doing bad deeds. And so that is related to your dharma as well. And moksha, again, this is the ultimate goal of Hinduism, and it's this reunion of Atman and Brahman. And so the way you achieve moksha is by having good karma, fulfilling your dharma or your duty, and eventually you will be reborn as a high-level priest, and you will reach moksha and reunification with this eternal soul. The third religion or philosophy that we're going to take a look at today is Buddhism. And so Buddhism really kind of happens as a response to this strict Hindu class in India. And so Buddhism is also going to originate in this Indian subcontinent. And so it particularly begins in this Ganges River Valley in India. And so Buddhism begins with this one prince, Siddhartha Gautama. And so he is a member of the warrior caste. And if you look back to your caste systems, you'll see the warrior class is just under the priests. And so this prince is very privileged, and he has a lot of luxuries and things and benefits that people in the lower class do not have. And so what happens is Siddhartha Gautama, he is going to go outside of his palace one day, and he for the first time is going to see somebody starving and hungering, and he had never seen that before in his life. And so he is going to wonder, what is this suffering? What is this suffering? And he can't get it out of his mind. And so then he begins this kind of lifelong spiritual journey to try to figure out how to end this suffering. And so that's basically how Buddhism begins. And so Siddhartha Gautama, he leaves his privileged life to become a monk, and he basically starts meditating, and he goes through all of these journeys and until he can reach what is called nirvana. And so if you look at this slide, here's a little story of Siddhartha Gautama. And so he starts out as a prince. He sees somebody dying and he sees somebody suffering. And so he seeks enlightenment. How can he end this suffering? And so on his journey to look for enlightenment, he comes up with this idea that there are four noble truths. And so they're here. Life is filled with suffering and sorrow. The cause of suffering and sorrow is people's selfish desire for temporary pleasures of the world. The way to end all suffering is to end desire. The only way to end all desire and to attain enlightenment is by following the eightfold path, which is also called the middle way between desire and ending selflessness or selfishness. So the eightfold path is like a staircase, right? And so this is going to be the teachings of Buddhism, is basically the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path. And so again, here are the Four Noble Truths. And again, it's about kind of ending this desire, denying yourself, saying, no, you don't need it. And so in an attempt to reach what is called nirvana. And so here's a little image of the Eightfold Path there. And so really it's kind of like developing this mental discipline. And so nirvana is going to be the last stage of Buddhism, and this is enlightenment. And so what is different about Buddhism compared to Hinduism is that Buddhism teaches that anyone can reach nirvana, and you do not have to be born in a certain class. And so it's this nirvana is available to everyone, even these untouchables. So they also believe in karma and reincarnation. However, they say anyone can reach this level of nirvana. And so this is another video that you can find in Blend. I'm not going to show this video now, but Buddhism, because it tends to be more appealing to people of lower classes, and it doesn't isolate or differentiate among groups, was a useful tool when Emperor Ashoka converted to Buddhism. He was able to invite more people into his empire and in fact expand his empire. So it was the official religion of the Mauryan Empire. And later when we look at the Romans and Christianity, we will see some similarities of that.